Hello everyone out there, TJ the Blind Man checking in with another sports video. Trust me, I won't talk any soccer and bore you. I'll leave that up to the talk show host in Mexico to talk about it with people who really care about soccer. Although I am pulling for the U.S. to pull the upset and win the Gold Cup just because I live in the U.S. and I guess I'll pay attention to the highlights when they show them on ESPN. But let's dive into a little NASCAR tonight. I want to start out by telling you we're halfway through the regular season, and I'm going to give you a couple bad surprises, a couple good surprises, and then I'll give you my top 5 on who I think has a good shot at winning the championship this year, since we're halfway through the regular season. We'll start out with the bad surprises first. Jeff Burton would be number 1 on my list. After the season that this team had last year, it just don't seem like something's right with that team. And going back to the end of last year, ever since he had that fight with Jeff Gordon on the track, it just don't seem like that team's been clicking. It seems like that took all the momentum out of that team and Jeff Burton. And with Kevin Harvick sitting in the top 5 in points this year, and Clint Boyer getting a win or 2 at the end of the season last year, I just don't know if Jeff Burton's right for that ride. And I gotta wonder at some point if Richard Childress will start thinking about maybe going away from Jeff Burton and getting someone else to fill that ride, because there's a lot of talented young drivers coming up to NASCAR that he may want to put in that ride, and there's a lot of hot free agents coming up the next couple of years. I mean, there's only one this year with Carl Edwards, but you got to think Roush is going to make a run to keep him. But also Denny Hamlin's coming up in the next few years. You got Mark Martin's going to be looking for a ride for a year or 2 maybe, although I don't look at Richard Childress going with him, maybe a lot younger driver to fill that ride. My other bad surprise would be Ryan Newman. What the hell has happened to this guy? His second or third year in NASCAR, he reeled off 8 wins, finished 3rd, 4th in the points, and hasn't been the same since. And we all thought it was maybe Penske that was keeping him back with the equipment they had. But then he left and went to race for Tony Stewart, who has Hendrick's motors and good cars. And we haven't seen the results. I mean, we've only seen him win 1 race since he's been with Tony. And I don't think that's good enough to cut it, especially for Tony Stewart, a guy who likes to win. And we've seen Tony last year and this year in the top 10 in points and making a run in a championship. So my question is, where's Ryan? Why isn't he up there battling for some wins? I mean, he's up there once in a while, but he's definitely got to do better than what he's been doing in order to keep that ride. I've even heard some talk about Tony going to a 3rd team. But my question is, would he go to a 3rd team, or would he just substitute another driver in for Ryan Newman? Because Ryan Newman's definitely not getting the job done in that car. On the other hand, my good surprises this year would be Paul Menard. A lot of people talk about Paul Menard buying his way to a NASCAR ride. I don't see that as the case. I see Paul Menard as being a talented young driver who just happens to have a really rich dad to back him up. I mean, we really don't hate on Junior for having his last name, and believe me, Junior has not lived up to his last name. So, and that brings me to my other good surprise, which would be Junior. He's sitting 3rd in points right now. And yes, I do think he will make the chase, but I don't think he will have a shot at winning the championship. I see him fading at the end of the season. I just don't think that team has what it takes. I mean, we've seen him come close to winning a race yet, but we haven't seen him win a race. It's been over 3 years now since he's won a race. And to win a championship, folks, no matter what you say, you still have to win races. And I don't see it coming out of that number 88 team. And this weekend they're at a road course, and I definitely don't think he could win at a road course. If you go back and look at the history of his career, he doesn't do good on these road courses. But next weekend at Daytona would be the race I would pick Junior to probably have a shot at winning. When they go to Daytona, he's always got a shot at winning. He's proven that to us over the years. But my question is, when is he going to start winning on these mile and a half, 2-mile tracks? I mean, they don't race at Daytona and Talladega every weekend, so when's he going to get a win to go along with the Talladega and Daytona wins to try to win that championship? I just don't see it happening. But I do think he will make the chase. I will clarify that. He's in the chase. He's put himself high enough up in the points early in the season that he will make the chase. Alright, my top 5 drivers, I think, have still got a shot at winning this championship this year. And I won't go in any particular order. I'll just throw them out there. One will be Kevin Harvick with RCR. With a couple wins, he's sitting pretty when the chase comes. I think he's already sitting on 30 points when the chase starts up. Jeff Gordon's going to be another one with his 2 wins so far in the season. I definitely think he has a shot at winning this championship because he's setting himself up good in the points going into the chase. Carl Edwards, you have to look at him as a contender. I mean, he's leading the points right now. He's won a couple races already this year, so he's going to be looking good in the points when they start the chase. So I definitely think Carl Edwards is a guy who probably, if not wins the championship, will come very, very close to winning it because that team has something on. They've clicked on something this year, and with him being a free agent at the end of the season, I think he really wants to prove it and get that big time contract with some team. But I really think Roush is going to put up a fight to try to keep him there because he's that talented of a driver. I mean, can you really let a guy win the championship or finish second and then walk away from your team? I just don't see Jack Roush doing that. Another driver, Jimmie Johnson. How can you count Jimmie Johnson out after winning 5 championships in a row? I know that team struggled a little bit this year, but they're still sitting in the top 5 in points, and they're going to get a win or two. And that team usually saves their best for the end of the season. So when it comes chase time, I don't care who's in the lead going into the chase, how many people's in front of him, you always have to consider Jimmie Johnson as a threat to win the championship. We've seen that the last couple of years. Last year, everyone was talking about how much he struggled, and when they got to the chase, all of a sudden he turned it on, and there he was, and winning the championship at Homestead. Last but not least, I think Kyle Busch still has a shot. Another driver a lot of people love to hate because of his aggressive driving style. But I've said this once, and I'll say it again. Kyle Busch reminds me more of Dale Earnhardt than anyone else in NASCAR. The guy will go for the win or finish last. He really doesn't care. That's the kind of driving style I like. And yes, he needs to mature a little bit more and take that 3rd or 4th, 5th place finish. And I think we're starting to see that this year. This year we've seen something from him that we haven't seen the last couple of years, where if he's 4th or 5th with 2 laps left, he won't get up beside the wall and try to wreck himself to win the race. And I think that's a good thing. And I think this year may be the year that he may get that championship. Him, Carl Edwards, and Jimmie Johnson, I really think are the top 3 contenders for that championship. All right, people. If you disagree with what I've said on this video or agree, please comment, let me know. I always want to hear from the people watching my videos and what they think. I will respond. Please like my fan page on Facebook at TJtheblindman, or follow me on Twitter, TJtheblindman, or subscribe to me on YouTube, TJtheblindman. And thank you for watching. Please comment, let me know what you think, and I will have plenty more videos to come. Thanks.